Alright everyone, welcome back to my level review series. It's been about a month since the last episode, so sorry about that, but I'm back, and today we're taking a look at Forbidden Isle by Sillow. It's an extreme demon, well, like debatably, it's maybe actually more of an insane demon, released in mid 2.0, about, I think, almost 2 years ago now. And it's quite an easy extreme, and I found it to be pretty enjoyable. So let's get right into it. So starting off with the gameplay in Forbidden Isle starts off pretty slow with the pre-drop. Just some very slow cube, ball, some ship parts. Overall, it's not very eventful. There's a couple kind of hard timings, but nothing really worth mentioning. And then we get to this wave right before the drop here. Or not before the drop, but it's leading up to the drop somewhat. And at this point, I really don't like this wave very much. I found it very awkward to play. It's not too challenging, but I just never got like a super clear click pattern on it, I guess. It always felt weird to go through, and I felt like I was always doing it wrong for some reason. It's not terrible, but it just felt kind of weird. And then just before the drop, we have this memory cube here, which I'm not a fan of, but that's mostly just because I'm terrible at learning memory parts in general. Once you learn it, it's really not that bad of a part. It gets super consistent. There's not really many hard timings in here, and became very consistent and easy to pass. Then we have this little dark break section right before the drop. It's kind of dark here, but not so dark that you can't see, so all the jumps are pretty easy here, and pretty slow and spaced out. Then you have this little break right before heading into this UFO, and the UFO is super easy, just wide open, honestly. Like, you can't mess this up. And then you get into this ball where you have to click kind of fast. It gets super consistent, though it's not tough. It's got a bit of this wonky transition, however, into a mini ship right after, which I always felt was a bit awkward. I don't think I ever died to it from zero, but overall it's a bit of a weird transition. And then you go right into this wave. It's a very fast-paced transition into it, and you got to be ready for it. It's not too tight of a wave, but it's pretty fast, and you gotta know what you're doing. And then right after this wave, we have arguably one of the hardest parts in the level, which is the dual ship. It's a bit tricky, kind of awkward and tight, just because I think in general dual ship is just hard to control. It's got weird physics on it, but overall it's not very tough. I died to it once from 0 at 66%, but that was my worst fail on the level, and I only died to it once. And then after this ship, there's really nothing worth mentioning in the gameplay left. It's all very simple. It's fun still, just nothing, groundbreaking. Just some pretty easy waves, some simple ships and stuff like that. Nothing too difficult. Pretty much just smooth sailing to the end of the level. So overall, the gameplay in this level is actually pretty fun. I found it enjoyable. It's very simple and straightforward most of the time. There's some memory, but overall, no very complex click patterns. It's all very simple, and I think for what it is, it does a very good job at that. There's few bugs. There's one where it's kind of a weird part in a cube, but I won't really get into that. It's not too important. Never really affected me too much, but it's overall pretty smooth gameplay and very simple 1.9 basic gameplay. Basically, that's what we're looking at here. It's just a nice, simple, easy to learn set of gameplay here. It's a nice thing just to play casually. If you're warming up, I could see it being a good level for that. So yeah, that's what we're looking at for the gameplay. Alright, so now moving on to the design of the level. The design of the level is actually maybe even more simple than the gameplay is. It's obviously 1.9 decorated, so that's very limiting in what can be done, but I think it does a pretty effective job at encapsulating the jungle or forest kind of theme it goes for. It's interesting. It uses a pretty bland color palette, I'd say, but I think it does so effectively. It's sort of like a muted Erebus color palette, like where rather than having like the toxic green and black, it's more of a muted, nice, easier on the eyes green than Erebus is. And I think it fits the theme of the level very well and fits the song well. There's lots of kind of flashes throughout the level to keep it not as static, I notice. So lots of like the object line a lot of time will fade to black and then back to white or whatever, and so there's some dynamic decoration as well throughout the level. Now there's not too many unique design things I'd like to point out, but there are a couple that I enjoyed throughout the level. Some structuring things I think that were nice throughout the level, like at the start. There's this big like kind of hill leading into the level right at the beginning. It's kind of cool, and it makes it feel like you're really being dropped into this jungle, which I found interesting. And towards the end, right before the last ship, there's a cube section that's got some kind of like a bumpy like hill kind of terrain thing that I think it was kind of a cool looking thing. And there's also a bunch of these vines throughout the level made with just like squiggly lines. It's super simple, but I think it adds a nice little touch to the level that really reinforces that jungle theme. So overall, Forbidden Isle is a very solid level. That's how I could describe it. It's there's not too many drawbacks, nothing really negative I can point out about the level, but there's also nothing too positive I can point out about the level. Nothing that really screams to me like, wow, that's amazing. So overall, it's pretty simple, but I think that's what it was aiming for, and I think it does a great job with that. It's obviously just a nice 1.9 level. I found it very enjoyable to play for myself. Yeah, I'm feeling a decent to strong 6 on this level. Alright, so that's it for the review. If you've played this level, let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Do you agree with my review? Do you disagree? Let me know. Thank you to everyone who left me suggestions on my last review to improve my reviews. I tried to incorporate a lot of your feedback into this video, so let me know how that went. If this one's seeming a lot better, please let me know. If there's things I should change, again, you can let me know. I'll try to do better on the next one. Thank you again so much for watching. If you have more suggestions for other levels I should review, feel free to comment those as well. I already have, I think, one lined up for my next review, which will hopefully be coming in the next coming weeks. And I also have some other uploads planned that aren't reviews. So keep an eye out for those, and I'll see you all next time.